we are literally in an economic downturn, okay? But what does that mean? Where you're making it relevant? Does it actually matter?
One action. So what one action can I take? Can we take? Can people take to get them out of that frenzy and that froth that gets created with the panic stations that people go to?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two, okay? So the other night I was getting a little frantic, and when that world starts closing in, but how many of you have that world closing in all the time? It was very unusual for me to be in that. So I lay in bed and I literally was like, okay, universe, show me what else is possible. Now I'm going to take some action. So I am looking at like, how do I, for me, change the world and increase my revenue streams, right? And I'm going to be bluntly honest out there with that as well. And I looked at too and asked yourself this question: do you need to make more money? Like, okay, the price of petrol just went up. Where are you making it relevant when it's not? Like, do you start to go, oh, I won't drive there, I won't do this, or, I'll think twice about that now. So now you've just told the universe, hey, I don't have any more power and potency to create more. What if instead you went,
if anybody watching has assumed they've got this ginormous problem, quote unquote, which now can be referred to as the situation, you just take one action. It's like taking one bite, and that one action might be,
how many of you are functioning from this, caste system that doesn't need to be? You surround yourself by people who are not empowering or are what you think you should be like financially, etc., rather than, are you desiring something different? Hello, everybody, and good morning from Australia, and welcome to Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you have me, your host, Simone Milasas, and today I have the lovely and amazing and phenomenal Miss Viv Adcock, who is also in Australia. Welcome, Viv.
About 15 minutes down the road from you at the moment.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Where are you?
I am at Noosa Heads.
Oh, okay. You are 15 minutes down the road from me. There you go.
Down the road, which is amazing when I think about where I watch your podcasts from all around the world. So how does it get better than this?
I'm in Peregian Beach and you're in Noosa. So this is a local podcast, ladies and gentlemen. and what we're talking today is a topic that I'm sure nobody has anything up in their world about, or nobody has any problems with, or thinks that they have a problem with it. But I went, you know what? Because Viv pinged me and she said, hey, I've got some questions about money. And I was like, let's do a podcast, because I was kidding about that. None of this relates to anybody, because I find that so many people, especially now, like, we are literally in an economic downturn, okay? But what does that mean? Where you're making it relevant? Does it actually matter? But be aware of it. Don't ignore it. But then you need to be in question of, okay, so what can I create and what can I choose and what action can I take in order to change my financial reality? So when Viv pinged me and said this, I went, hey, let's jump on a podcast and ask these questions. So I have no idea what she's asking, where we're going, but I do know the topic is money.
Money. Yeah. And I'm so grateful, because that concept of the economic downturn, I mean, look at the energy of that. Does that fill you with vibrancy and enthusiasm and joy for living to get out and create? Or does it become this cloak that you start to absorb, assuming that it's your own? So, one of the questions I was asking you, Simone, is just what one action, because I get that whole, when people are in that place of debt, or they're struggling, or the bills are piling up, or the income, there's more expense than income, and the fuel prices have gone bananas again, and all of those external things that drive up that pressure for people. One action. So what one action can I take? Can we take? Can people take to get them out of that frenzy and that froth that gets created with the panic stations that people go to?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two. Okay, so the first one is the tool of, who does this belong to? Interesting. I just spoke to someone about 30 minutes ago, and I rang them about something in particular, and then I was like, hey, how you doing? And they went, not that great. And I was like, what's up? And then they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I went, okay, what day is it? And they went Monday morning. And I went, Monday morning is always this very interesting time because the majority of people are off to work and they're off to work for the week and they've just had their weekend and they're like all dismal and, life is a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you have to start being the question of who does this belong to? So everything you just mentioned, I mean, that fuel goes up. Okay. So who does it belong to that you start freaking out about it or you start panicking or you start getting frantic? So that's number one. Okay. So who does this belong to? Because we are so psychic. We pick up on everybody's thoughts, feelings, and emotions and think that they're ours. You have to find that courage and that like tenacious capacity that you actually have, whether you've chosen or not is something different, to keep moving forward. And as you use the word action, not to go to reaction, to actually be in action. So recently, I did this class in Mallorca and it was the Joy Business Facilitator training because we have lots of Joy Business Facilitators all over the world. It's a book that I just happen to have it here. Joy Business that I wrote. You can get on Amazon and everything. It's written and it's translated into a lot of different languages, 20, I think. Wow. So, but one of the things I was giving as the home play is I said, find out the year, and hopefully you know this, the year that you made the most money so far. And I want you to times that by 10. And what figure would that be? And then ask yourself, what action would I need to take in order to create and generate that? And that's what I've been looking at because we just finished in Australia, our end of tax year is end of June. And, so I've just done my taxes and I actually know how much I earn every year. I've known that for quite a few years now, at least 15 years. I look at it all and I'm aware of it. And I've earned the least amount of money in quite a while. Like my income has gone quite down and I think it's like the same money I was earning in 2014. And I was like, oh, but interesting enough, Viv, I don't have that sense that I'm lacking at all. Like I was like, oh, I've just spent 3 weeks in Mallorca and I'm like, I'm buying this or doing that or going to a nice restaurant or like I'm living a life that I'm really happy with and I'm so grateful for everything. And it doesn't have that sense of that. And yet I noticed there was this moment that I could go to like freak out. Especially I was really tired the other day. And when I'm tired, I'm not good. Like, when people are not good when they're hungry, I'm okay. If I'm hungry, I'm just hungry. But when I'm tired, it's like the world comes like, it's more, I know I need to just go, you need to sleep and then look at this tomorrow. Okay. Like I know I need sleep. So the other night I was getting a little frantic and when that world starts closing in, but how many of you have that world closing in all the time? It was very unusual for me to be in that. So I lay in bed and I literally was like, okay, universe, show me what else is possible. And I started looking at the home play that I'd given everybody else. And if I was going to times my best year by 10 and get that amount, then what action would I need to take in order to create and generate that? And what I've been doing in the past week is meeting up with every single person I work with one-on-one. And I ask them about 6 questions, like what they see their job as, what are they currently, creating and generating? What would they like to change? Would they still like to work with me? What ideas do they have? Blah, blah, blah. And it's been so awesome. Like we have had some awesome conversations and we have this whole list of things and projects and ideas. And I told everyone, hey, guys, my income has gone way down, but my expenses are really high, and my accountant has been saying to me, Simone, your income's gone down but your expenses are really high, blah, blah, blah. And she keeps saying it to me. And I'm like, hey, telling me again isn't going to change anything. Like, I get it. I know it. Now I'm going to take some action. So I am looking at like, how do I, for me, change the world and increase my revenue streams, right? And I'm going to be bluntly honest out there with that as well. And I looked at too and ask yourself this question, do you need to make more money? And when I asked myself that question, I went, oh, no, I don't. And I sat with that for like 24 hours and went, okay, I don't need to make more money. but would I like to? And I went, yes. There's so many things I would like to contribute. At the moment, I am, I've paid for half of this greenhouse at El Lugar in Costa Rica, this property that we have there. And I've paid for half of it so far. And I would like to create the other half of it. I'd like to build an arena there. Like, there's so many things that I would like to create in the world and on this planet to create something greater. Do I personally need more money? Not really. But I'd like to create and generate more money so that I can take some action in creating a change in the world.
There were so many amazing energy bursts, like little fireworks going off while you're talking, Simone. And I'm really going to ask the listeners or the people watching this podcast to even listen to this again with your eyes closed, because the energy that you're being when you're talking about this, it's not just your mouth moving and words coming out. There's an energy that you are generating, and you use that word to generate. And when people are in this yuck stuck, what the fuck, panic stations, what the hell am I going to do with these bills or finances, that lack and scarcity and poverty, it spreads like a contagion. It can take over everything and consume people's zest for living and their joy. And you're like, okay, well, I'm aware of my expenses, but I'm still going to go to Europe. I'm still going to facilitate classes. I'm still going to have, fun while I'm there. And that energy is so different to how most people function, because they go into contraction and budgeting and scrimping and saving and cutting off the things that they actually enjoy and bring them a sense of happiness in order to pay the bills. So can you talk about what that choice creates when people go into that contraction and thinking that tightening their purse strings is going to make it better?
Yeah, well, tightening the purse strings or functioning from lack is going to create more of lack. That's literally what happens. I mean, if we look at judgment, because you're essentially in judgment when you choose that. And let's look at, someone who every day goes, oh my God, I've got a fat ass, right? And they're judging how big their ass is, right? You don't wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, all of a sudden it changed, But if you start waking up and looking at your booty and being like, damn girl, look at the shape and size of this booty. It's like, how does it get any better than this? You actually look at the energy of that. As you spoke about that generative energy, your body's like, oh, but if you're like fat ass, ugly, blah, 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 then your body goes, oh, and it's the same with every area of your life, whether it's, relationships, okay, if you, and I'm using these other examples so you can see how you do it with money, but in relationships, say you're in a relationship with someone and I don't know, it's like they do something that annoys you, like they never put their cup in the dishwasher, and like something so mundane. So then you focus on that they never put their cup in the dishwasher, but did they just take you out to dinner last night? Did they just make the bed? Did you just have great sex with them? But your focus on they didn't put the cup in the dishwasher. So how many of you are putting your attention of what you've decided is not, rather than looking at what else is possible and what you are, receiving? I mentioned that I was asking the universe, and I just got home from Europe and my sleep pattern has been really off the charts. And so I was lying in bed the other day. I woke up at 1:30 and I was convinced I was going to go to sleep, but I didn't. I ended up getting up at 5. But from 1:30 till 5, I was in bed listening to Dr. Dane, his ESB, which is amazing, and just asking questions, and had my hands on my body. And I was just like being really present with my body. And I looked at it and was like, okay, if the universe is my best friend and it's so there, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't have opening and closing hours, it doesn't have a budget, none of that. Universe, show me what else is possible. And also my body, I was like, universe and body, show me what else is possible, show me the way, is how I was asking. And I was like, what could I receive that I haven't been willing to receive before? Because something I've been acknowledging, and this goes in with the topic what we're talking about, is how many of you are better at gifting than receiving? Yeah. Who's putting her hands up? If you're not, watching us and you're just listening to us, she'll put both hands up actually. And most of you could put both hands up. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, asked me this a couple of months ago when I was at our castle in Italy. And I went, yeah, way better at gifting than receiving. But most of us are better at gifting than receiving because we can control it. And we can control what we gift, and then therefore we receive less. So we can also control that. So I was running processes of going, well, what would happen if I was out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, significance, out of linearities, out of concentricities, and out of limitations with receiving? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, pyramids, creations, bases, and beyonds. And that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. You can find out more about it at theclearingstatement.com. And so I'm lying in bed for a few hours and running this. And so I eventually just get up at 5 o'clock and go, let's just start the day, you know. And I got like, I noticed, it took me a day to notice, but initially when I woke up, you know, there was someone who'd left me a message, and something that I would usually pay for, they were saying, hey, can you let me handle this? Like, I want to handle this, right? And I was like, okay, I really received that. And then someone bought me a bag of oranges, you know, it's like, it's a bag of oranges. And then there was like 2 other things that showed up that was this whole like gifting and receiving. It's like, don't knock back the bag of oranges, you know, it's like when someone is gifting. And I noticed that my receiving, like I was more open to receiving. And then I noticed that we try and then go, okay, more open to receiving and try and control it or have some sort of stopper on it. What if we didn't stop receiving? And when you are functioning from lack, you literally, it's a hard no to receiving, right? Rather than, okay, being in question will change everything. And for me, being in question was a really hard thing to grasp, because I thought if I could work everything out, I'll have everything I ever desire. If I can work everything out, if I can control everything, if I can just get it right, if I can force things, if I can all of that, then everything will be okay. But how many of you do that? And it's what if you destroy and uncreate everything that is, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, provers, creations, bases, and beyonds. And instead, you start being in question and find out what else is possible beyond what you can control, beyond, you know, the lack. Like, okay, the price of petrol just went up. Where are you making it relevant when it's not? Like, do you start to go, oh, I won't drive there, I won't do this, or, you know, I'll think twice about that now. So now you've just told the universe, hey, I don't have any more power and potency to create more. What if instead you went, what if it doesn't matter how much petrol is, because, or gas, if you're in America. It's not a gas though. That's always weird. Why is it gas? You know, that's a whole other topic. But it's like, what if you went, it doesn't matter how much it is. If I desire it, I will get it, because I will always create more. You know, when you hear people go like, you know, oh, the price of tomatoes now, blah, 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 or the price of bananas. Do you want bananas? What if you had the point of view that if you and your body wanted to eat bananas, you could always buy bananas, because the price was not relevant, because you could always create and generate more. Like, the world is in lack. You don't have to be in lack.
Yeah, and a friend of mine said to me a while ago, he said, look, there isn't a lack of money on the earth. There's just a lack of money, but there's a lack of people asking for money. And it is that simple, because that just exactly what you were saying there, Simone. It's like, well, do you choose to contract your life and have less? So if that's your point of view, that's what you keep creating. And this, when people ask, when I first came across this concept of asking a question, your brain does backflips, but it's like, I've been taught my whole life, I've got to have an answer, I've got to find the solution, I've got to fix the problem. And it's like, what if it isn't a problem? And as you said before, what if this is just a situation?
Yeah.
And situations are movable. And I see so many people get freaked out because they feel they're stuck and there's no other way out of whatever the situation is. Whereas what you're saying and how you're so different with money, Simone, is, okay, what else is possible here? But genuinely asking that question. It's an open-ended question. It's not, I've got to find the answer.
Yeah. And, you know, the second book I ever wrote is called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. And Viv, even when I was in debt, I still like received money. I was just spending way too much money too. So, and that, you know, that's a whole other topic as well. But it's also not about getting it right. Like, I do fuck up, and I go to, you know, freak out or, some frantic or panic or something like that. But the thing is, I don't choose it for very long anymore because I realize that doesn't create anything greater. I'm like, okay, so what else is possible beyond this? And then I might call a friend, or I might listen to a class. I might ask myself some questions, like some questions. It's like, what have I decided I need money for? It's like, what am I avoiding with money? What am I proving with money? Or what am I proving with no money? Like, these are questions that something will pop, and it might be cognitive or it might just be energetic, but then use the clearing statement afterwards. And if you can't remember the clearing statement, just say POC and POD, or just say all that stuff that, Simone was talking about, because it's energetic and it will start to clear. And the whole idea is you're clearing everything. So you have like this blank canvas that you get to, as we spoke about right at the beginning. It's like, what action can I take that would create change here? Which is a question. And it could be anything. Like for me, it's like, meeting up with everyone I work with. I call them my magic crew. And meeting up with the magic crew has been awesome. I haven't finished it yet. And it's just been amazing. Like I couldn't have fathomed the conversations that we're having. And that's the thing. Don't try and work out the future by controlling it. Allow the future to show up by being in question.
Yes, that. And just
but I like that you took a big breath, because it is like that, Viv. It's like, breathe it in. Like right now, it's like, if you're listening to this, it's like, just tap into the energy of the future that you could be choosing. Like 5 years in the future, if you get over your own shit and stop functioning from lack and start maybe using the Access Consciousness tools, because if you've never come to an Access Consciousness class, you might want to check one out, because they are freaking amazing. They have changed every area of my life, all of the tools, and being in question. Every question can change like the trajectory of what you're currently choosing. So if you like engage and embrace with that energy and look at where your life can be in 5 years' time, and take a big breath and receive everything that's possible. And as you breathe out, just allow that to show up.
And that, what one action can I take today? If anybody watching has assumed they've got this ginormous problem, quote unquote, which now can be referred to as a situation, you just take one action. It's like taking one bite. And that one action might be, I'm going to go for a swim at the beach. It doesn't necessarily mean I've got to go and get a third job and work more hours and not sleep. It's you changing the energy with that, right? The question and what you're choosing and the action that you're taking is to get you out of that stuck, the conflict, the fight that people get into.
Yeah. And that's a great example. Like, it could be go make a cup of tea, go for a swim at the beach. It could be anything. And it also could be asking for help. And I'll give you an example. Is one of the conversations I was having with some of my magic crew is there's a person who does some work for me on my Spanish social media. And I didn't like, it had this energy that she'd like disappeared. And we started talking about the Spanish social media and everything and how's it going and blah, blah, blah. And then I found out that this woman, her parents are in Venezuela. And for a while there, for like, I think it was 48 hours, she didn't know if they were alive or dead after the earthquake and everything that they had. And so she was handling that. And I'm like, you know what? That is like a billion times more important than my Spanish social media, But she was also looking at, so she's found them, but they've lost everything. Okay. So she was like wanting to take on more hours to create more money in order to, send to her parents. So if you look at that, that's great. What a gift the child is to say, I want to take on more hours to earn more money. But I was like, but what if there's something else that's possible? What if there's more? And I said, please let her know that she can reach out to me and ask me for help. Like you need to also ask for help sometimes. And the person I was talking to said, I was actually looking at creating something for some of the people that we know in Venezuela, like a GoFundMe, and doing some, some class, like 30 days of clearings or something, and raising some money for them. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. I said, let me know what I can contribute. Obviously, we need a Spanish translator for me, or I'll just be like, mi nombre es Simona. ¿Cómo estás? And then that's it, but we need a Spanish translator for me, but I'm in. Whatever I can contribute, like, let me know. So that's the difference of, and whether this was a conversation I had yesterday, okay? So whether that's a difference of, this person just getting a few more hours to earn some more money, or do we create something even bigger and greater than she'd ever perceived possible? And how many of you are willing to go that even bigger and greater than anything you perceive possible? Like even recently in Sarapiquí in Costa Rica, where El Lugar is, that's the area, the property that we have. And if you haven't checked it out, you need to check it out. It's amazing. El Lugar, it stands for the place in Spanish, and it's spelled ELLUGAR.com. And there was a lot of flooding in the area. Number one, very grateful for the way we built El Lugar, because we didn't flood, right? But the village, close by, it had major floods. So we immediately went, okay, what can we help with? Like a lot of our staff, their homes were flooded and they lost a whole bunch of stuff, if not everything. So we immediately started this funding for them. Excuse me. We immediately started this funding for them, and we raised about $15,000 like really quickly within a week. And it was so beautiful to see, people going. And then we had these vouchers, and they could go to the store and they could get groceries. And then we also Gary Douglas donated all these mattresses to them as well, so that they could have something to sleep on. And, we bought fridges and all these different things. But for me, that's the ability to ask and the ability to receive and what we can contribute. Because as you mentioned, Viv, there's not a lack of money in the world. There's a lack of people willing to ask for it and also willing to choose it. So it's like, what contribution can we be with money? And if it wasn't so, it's all about me, because as I said before, it's like, my income has gone down a lot, and yet, do I need more money? No. Would I like to create more money? Fuck yes. Why the hell not? Why the hell would I not create a shitload of money so that I can create more? But it's not even that I can. It's like, why would I not ask for more? Why would I not receive more? It's like, I'm proud of what I choose in this life. I'm proud of what I choose in my business, in the way I be. And it's like, I'll have more of that, and I would like to expand on that. So what's that going to take?
And that generosity right there, that just obliterates any kind of funky, weird energy about lack, not enough, my precious, it's mine for me. There's such a generosity. And that, when you talked earlier about the receiving part of that, as you gift, so shall you receive, one of those kind of conversations that people have if they've come through spiritual realms or they've read the Bible or something like that. There is that essence, there is that invitation to be that generosity with other people. It's not you just wanting money for you. It's like, no, I want to contribute to this, and I want to make the world a different place. And Gary's point of view is that, the reason to play with money and have money is to change people's realities. So
yeah. And how you can change people's realities too is even gifting to people who have more money than you, because they don't expect it. Like when we say changing people's realities, it's like so many people go, oh, that means like, giving money to the homeless, or, people who are, I don't know, without, or something like that. Yeah, you can. And what if you didn't shut off the gifting and receiving and the generosity of spirit, and it was always available in your whole, world, your universe, your reality, so that you could choose it anytime you desire? And it also doesn't mean that you have to give money to people, because that's one thing I found too. Once I did start making money, I'm so surprised how many people ask you for money. And they also expect you to pay for things, right? So at first I was so resistant to that, but I realized as I was resistant to people's expectations to me paying for something, I was creating less. So I was like, oh, just because they have an expectation I should pay for something, it doesn't mean I have to. I have choice. I can pay for everything, and I can pay for nothing. I can, choose to donate money, gift money, or I can do nothing. That's up to me. But more money allows you that choice to choose infinitely and not from finite and not from lack and not from scarcity and not from being the same as everybody else. And for me, that's such a predictable, duplicatable reality. I'd rather create a generative life that is always about being in question and always receiving and knowing that greater can show up. Like what can show up today that you weren't willing to receive? Like what could show up? What could you be today that you have not yet chosen? Like what else is possible? But you've got to be willing to be out of control. You've got to be willing to receive.
And what if we truly acknowledge that having money is choice, that it is a choice? It's not that you're just stuck, this is your lot and this is how my family have been and this is what I've grown up and this is society. No, that willingness to be so different and choose.
I love it is true. And you say that. And, in India, right, many years ago, they had this, it was a law, and it's the caste system. So when I used to do business in India, 30 years ago, the caste system was in place. And the caste system is the caste that you're born into, you stay in that. Okay. So you don't marry or work outside of that. There was a guy, I used to work in this place called Pahaganj in Delhi, and the same workers all the time in the street. And there was a guy who literally, this old man, he was so sweet. And every day he had this big, like wooden, board, and it had padlocks on it. And he literally sold padlocks. That's all. Right. So, but I would always say good morning to him. He was near my hotel, etc. And he was very sweet and very kind. And I think I bought 2 padlocks from him every time I, went there and did business because, my bags, etc. But then I met his son, and his son started selling padlocks too, right? So that is what is considered acceptable. So the son couldn't go and be a doctor or a lawyer or, a politician, because that's not within the caste, right? So the caste system was law. And then what they did was they eliminated the law, and they said, okay, this no longer exists. Okay. And so legally the caste system didn't exist, but it still did, right? It's still there. Even now, it's like, it's not written, it's not law, but it's still there. And it was so clear in India. And I wonder how much the whole world functions from that too. It's like, the family you're born into, have you decided you cannot outcreate your family? Or what if you can? And I remember the day that I was talking to my father, who, God bless him, amazing man, and he passed away quite a few years ago now. I'm going to say like 10 or 12 years ago. And he sat with me one day, and he used to be my accountant, and he was smart enough at one stage to say, hey, Simone, you've outgrown me. Like, he was quite older, and he said, you're doing a lot of business internationally. He said, I'm too old to start studying all of that. Like, you need to find somebody else. And I was like, okay. But he sat there in his office, and so kindly and so sweetly looked at me, and he said, do you realize that you've surpassed me? And it was this moment that the way he was asking me, he was so proud of me that I couldn't help but receive it. And I was like, yes. And he said, I'll always be here for you. And he said, but you need to go find somebody else for advice, because he knew that I could be bigger and greater, etc. And I'm really grateful that I had a father like that, and that I had someone in my life who was so empowering. But how many of you are functioning from this, caste system that doesn't need to be? You surround yourself by people who are not empowering or are what you think you should be like financially, etc., rather than, are you desiring something different? Like, are you truly desiring something different? What if you, put your big girl pants on, big boy pants on, and went, fuck this, I'm actually going to have something different, and I'm going to choose that. And as we said before, I'm going to take some action. And asking, what action can I take today that would allow something so different to show up that I just blow myself away? Like financially, business, relationships, sex, everything. And everything that doesn't allow that to show up for you, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right, and on good and bad, POC and Pod, all 100 shorts, boys, perverts, creations, bases, and beyonds. Yes.
Kaboom.
Yes, kaboom.
Wow. Thank you, Simone. That's just changed my trajectory financially, just having these conversations. And like I say, the energy that you be, the generative energy, it's like there's such an invitation in that world. And I just want to say this one last thing. The first time I read your Joy of Business book, there was such a space. It's like there's a largeness, and that even feels like an understatement. There's a largeness to how you see the world and how you reach into possibilities and lean into that like infectious curiosity that really opened my world up magnanimously. So thank you for that. And if anybody hasn't read that book, you don't have to have a business to get an amazing trajectory shift out of this book. It is phenomenal.
You know, okay, you just reminded me of a quick story I'll tell before we end the podcast too. There's a friend of mine, Sabrina, in Colombia, and this was she's one of our translators now, etc. But this was when she sort of just heard about Access. She hadn't done much. I think she'd got a bars run, and she inherited a whole lot of land in Colombia, like these woods, her and her sister. And she said, I had no idea what to do, like no idea. So what her and her sister did was they took the Joy Business book out to the woods and they sat, it's almost like makes me tear up. They sat in the woods and they just read Joy Business book, and they were like, okay, show us what to do with this land and these woods. And I was like, that is so cool. So where could it contribute to you? Yeah. Stop being limited and start being you, you know?
And Gary Douglas said to me once, what if every single molecule of consciousness actually desires to contribute to you?
Yes, it does. It does. So will you now let every molecule of consciousness contribute to you, your body, your your business, everything and more, and everything it does allow it to show up where you destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all 100 shorts, boys, proverbids, creations, bases, and beyonds. Yes, all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. Bring it on, ladies and gentlemen. Cool.
Thank you, Simone. Awesome conversation.
Gone in all different directions, and thank you so much for pinging me and going, hey, I've got some questions, and I was like, let's do a podcast. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful. And thank you, listeners, to being here. Like, thanks for being here. If you desire, please share this. It's like, my desire really is to change the world, and I'm rediscovering what that is for myself too. So yeah. Desire. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.